Good morning, ladies. So today our learning target is I can apply my knowledge of natural disasters to create a fictional writing piece. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of do a first read of this, and I'm going to kind of go over what is expected. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my example and kind of how I planned mine out, and then the skills and strategies that I use to then put my planning page and my plan my thinking section right here into a little news article. So hopefully we get to have some fun with this. So I'm going to go over everything and then we're going to kind of do our second read and mark it up. So, directions. Now that you've learned all about the natural disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and tsunamis, you're going to create a new story about a hypothetical storm that strikes your area. You will need to identify and describe the storm. This will include information you learned from the previous articles, such as the causes, area of the world it is most prone, and how the storm is evaluated by scientists. Next dot point, describe a scene with characters and how they responded to the natural disaster. This may include what they were doing at the time and the steps they took to protect themselves and the people around them. Last dot point, results. How did the characters and the community recover and rebuild? What was the damage of the storm? What preventative measures may they take next time? So if we take a look down a little bit, we got to plan out our thinking here. We have a little graphic organizer. So natural disaster and location. Oops, sorry, that's covering. Natural disaster and location. Characteristics of natural disaster. Scene with characters beginning, middle, and end. And results and recovery. So this is the result of the storm and then how the people recovered. So let's take a peek down at the bottom. So this is where you get to kind of do your fun fictional writing. Okay, so even though you're writing about something that is true, we are writing about actual natural disasters, you're going to create your own kind of scenario. So, breaking news, disaster strikes. Here's where you're going to be kind of writing about the story where things happen, that maybe that beginning, middle, and end, that story part here. And then rebuild and recover, what you're going to talk about is how the people came back from the storm. And maybe this is where you can highlight some of the damage that was done, hypothetically, of course. And then did you know? So a fun fact section about your natural disaster. So pick one of the four and then just give me, they don't even have to be full and complete sentences, just quick little phrases, and you'll see mine in a moment to kind of compare to. And then illustration of destruction caused by a natural disaster. I know some of us may not feel like they're the best artists. This, I think, is in that category, but I'll show you mine again in a moment. And just a little something to kind of give a little visual to your story here. Okay? So again, keep in mind we're filling out a graphic organizer. We don't need full and complete sentences, just little dot points. These are ways to organize your thinking and get it ready to write. All right, ladies, so now I'm going to walk you through mine. And again, even fictional pieces like this, we can kind of mark up to help us better understand. So now let's even just take a look at our learning target. So our learning target, again, is I can apply my knowledge of natural disasters to create a fictional writing piece. Okay, so again, apply. What I did here was I just like, oh, that's use. I can use the knowledge that I've just learned from natural disasters to create a fictional, which I know is not true, literary writing piece. Okay. So then what I did was I went through the directions and I kind of marked them up as well so that I made sure I knew that I had all of my elements included. So I went through and I underlined news story. Hypothetical is what I defined. Possible, not true. Hypothetical scenario could possibly happen, but didn't necessarily happen. Identify and describe. So we're not just saying which natural disaster, we're describing the storm as well. Kind of painting that picture, the causes, area around the world it is most prone to, and how the storm is evaluated. And again, evaluated is measured. So this is the different scales that are used, the different categories that they may fall into. So to describe a scene, another word for a scene is an event, scenario, how they responded. Okay, so characters, again, you can put yourself in the story. You'll see in a moment that I kind of modeled it after my family a little bit. But yeah, however you want to, but you have to make sure that you're including how the characters respond. And then with results, recover and rebuild, okay? So again, both of those aspects are very important, okay? Maybe how did they recover? How did they get to safety? And then how did they recover afterwards? What did they have to maybe clean up? What destruction was done? How did they rebuild? Preventative measures, this is all your preparation. So maybe your scenario, they were prepared, maybe they weren't, maybe there was a big learning experience. And then kind of generally briefly talk about the damage that was done. So now here I'm going to show you my graphic organizer, things that I included, and then I will read you my story. So the natural disaster that I chose was a tsunami, and I said that it was off the coast of Japan during August of summer vacation. So Japan, I know, is very prone to tsunami, so that's why I chose that location. It was even mentioned in the article. And then I chose the time of August because summer vacation. So, characteristics of a natural disaster. Here, this you pull right from one of your articles. Okay, so I said may follow an earthquake. The water recedes from the beach, and then a massive wave crashes inland and can destroy homes, and it's usually followed by flooding. So, the scene with the characters, I painted the picture that a family is on vacation, mom, dad, and three sisters. Again, I modeled that after my own family. You can choose however you want to do. That was just my reference that I chose. So then I used BME for beginning, middle, and end. Very familiar with that, of course. Um, so beginning, they were having lunch in a restaurant on the beach, and Dad scolds one of the daughters for looking at her phone during a meal at the table. The middle, the alert on her phone was actually about a tsunami, warning to get to high ground immediately. And then E, family and rest of the community got to safety, but major damage was done. So again, just kind of that skeleton of how it's going to look, just planning it out. Results and recovery. Because I wrote this story, I didn't want any lives lost, so no lives were lost, but I did talk about the actual damage that might have and probably did occur if a tsunami like this did crash into the beaches of Japan. So no lives lost, but restaurants along the beach were severely damaged. Vacationers had to go home, but a little thing that I included, kind of that creative part, is that, but they raised money at their home in New York to send to Japan. Okay, breaking news. Okay, sorry about my handwriting. I know, I apologize for it all year long. Disaster strikes. Vacationing families were enjoying lunch along the beach when they were alerted of a pending tsunami coming their way. One family in particular heard the news first. The youngest daughter, who was originally scolded by her father for being on her phone during lunch, jumped to action when she got the alert on her cell. She ran to tell the restaurant manager, who checked on the news quickly to confirm the alert. The manager organized for everyone to leave the restaurant safely. People in the restaurants evacuated to the top of a hill away from the beach and watched the massive wave destroy everything. Rebuild and recovery. Fortunately, no lives were lost, but major destruction was caused to select restaurants along the beach. 5 total were destroyed. Community members worked to clean up the beach first, disposing of debris. Next, they worked together to clean the roads around so that people could travel safely to and from. The best thing to come was the connection that the visitors built with this particular community in Japan. When they returned home, money was raised all over the world and sent to Japan to help with the relief efforts. Did you know, fun facts about the natural disaster tsunami? It's caused by 2 things, underwater earthquakes and underwater volcanoes. Tsunamis can travel up to 500 miles per hour, and tsunamis cannot be predicted or prevented. And I know my illustration here is a little shaky. I know Miss Leia would probably be very disappointed in me. Sorry, Leia. Um, but the illustration here is I just tried to draw a big wave kind of coming over. This is supposed to be like little restaurants on the beach, those 5 restaurants. But yeah, it doesn't have to be anything too fancy for that picture. But what I want to point out here is that I did try to include most of the things from my graphic organizer here. Okay, so again, you might add a little to your beginning, middle, and end. I hope you do, right? This is just a little bit of a framework. And you can add kind of that personal touch of yours, okay? So make sure that you're being creative. Make sure that you are following all of the necessary criteria for success. And again, you're showing your knowledge a little bit, okay? So again, yes, this is a fun fictional story, but I want you to show that you know a little bit about the natural disaster. You get to pick whichever one you want. All right, ladies, I hope you enjoy writing this, and I can't wait to read them.